our residents, and so I have promised Mr. Lindsay that we will move him up in our program because he has to depart quickly. So I'm going to get started, make a few comments, and then we will have comments from him. I assure you my comments will be a lot shorter this week, this time around, because of this wonderful weather we have. I want to let you get out and enjoy. So, all right. So this is the moment where I introduce myself again. Hello to everyone. My name is Anthony Snell. I am the Director of Real Estate Development for the Housing Authority. Welcome again. I had a number of you with me a few weeks ago when we talked about that we would be gathering again, and then you probably didn't think it would be this soon and in this wonderful weather. But surprise, we are here. A couple weeks ago, we met over J.J. Henderson to talk about the completion of the rehabilitation of that 177 units. And today, we are here to talk about this wonderful milestone. We are here to talk and introduce and talk about the start of redevelopment at 519 East Main in Liberty. As you can see in the background in here, that is Phase 1 demolition. This is where the Elizabeth Street apartments will go. They are removing 8 buildings, which will accommodate the 72 new units that are being built, and it will be a family development. So again, we are very appreciative of you being here. I don't know if we have any city officials, city council members with us. If you are present, please stand. If not, I would like to recognize our Board of Commissioners that are here, the DHA Board of Commissioners. Would you please stand? And then one other special recognition. I am going to ask all of the DHA staff that's present to please stand. Hold, stay just 1 minute. I think it's very important to recognize our colleagues and to let you know this is the front line. This is the front line that shows up every day to make people's dreams come true. They show up every day to make people's lives better. And I want to commend them and thank them for their tireless effort to get us to this day where we are seeing this wonderful milestone. So thank you. Because I did promise you I'm going to be short, we are going to move on in our program, and we are going to move down to our special acknowledgments. And what I did say earlier, we will have one of our residents here at Liberty to come forward, Mr. Lindsay. Mr. Lindsay, how long have you been a resident here at Liberty? There you go, you're right here.
Yeah, when the kids moved on, so they grew up and they graduated from high school, and so there's no more babies around here, so it's just seniors and myself and a few other residents around here. So I think the transition is going to be great, and I'm excited, and I hope all the residents are excited about this program that's happening. So we'll have to wait to see what's going to happen. I'm very sure it's going to be good. Whatever it turns out to be, it's going to be special. So I thank y'all. And sometimes I think in the near future maybe we can get the homeless on board as well. Maybe they can come up with something with the homeless. I'm not sure, but that would be a great aspect, along with the development of Elizabeth Street and DHA. So it's been a long time coming, but it's about to happen right now. And I thank y'all for letting me share this experience with y'all. And y'all have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. At this moment, we will hear from Mr. Scott, the CEO of DHA.
I have a much longer speech. I'm just kidding. So good afternoon, and thank you all for participating. I have in my notes, Anthony, for the employees to stand. we never coordinate with these things, but oh no, I definitely will, because one of the things that I wanted to make sure we did for this event was make sure all of our employees would have an invitation to be here. And I want to thank the women and men of DHA who come to work every single day in an effort to make our communities a great place to live. And I'll talk a little bit about the challenges that they have in a few. And also I wanted to talk about our residents. So Mr. Lindsay is on his way to work. That's why he had to go so quickly. He said, I'm already late. I says, okay, we'll get you there. But you know, our families of DHA come from a whole variety of backgrounds and experiences, from victims of domestic violence to just everyday people who are trying to live their lives, single parents, families of all types. And those families have the same hopes and dreams that all of us have. They want a good quality house to live in. They want a great neighborhood to be in. They want a place that's safe. And that's really the impetus for why we are approaching this work the way we are. The Liberty Streets Apartments represents the first phase of our demolition and rebuilding of housing. Now, a few weeks ago, we were here for the announcement of the $40 million Choice Neighborhoods Grant. And then a few weeks later, we were at J.J. Henderson celebrating the complete renovation of that building. But this is the first step in tearing down and rebuilding that we've taken. And that's why we wanted to make sure we had a moment to recognize this. We didn't know it would be quite so cool with the, literally with a backdrop of demolition going on. And because of the weather, unfortunately, I won't be able to let anybody go out and do any damage. So maybe at the next phase, we'll get you on a backhoe or something and let you tear up some stuff. But we're using this model to reduce our dependence on Congress. Historically, housing authorities, going back to the initial formation of public housing, we were well funded by Congress. More recently, in the last 2-3 decades, we haven't been. It's been to the extent of about $70 billion that we are behind in funding that we should get nationally. Those are HUD's numbers. We know, however, from the work that we've been doing over the last few years, that that number is significantly higher. Our strategy under DDMP is to bring a variety of incomes all in one place so that we can diversify the needs of the financial needs that we have in these developments, so that we're not just relying on an average of $238 a month of rent, but we have a whole variety of incomes of rent that come in. That, one, creates stability in our day-to-day operations. And then two, it gives us stability for those long-term capital needs that we have, which has been at the heart of so many of the issues that we face in our public housing. And I'll just give you a quick example. So we had a study done on all of our public housing. It's called the Physical Needs Assessment. The work that needs to be done in our public housing over the next 5 years is about $48 million. We are projected to get over the next 5 years about $20 million. So that just makes the problem get worse and worse and worse. This approach that we're taking is a way for us to make a difference in how we are able to house our families and manage our families. And we create a great social economic environment at the same time. So here are the key elements for us. The DDMP, DHA's Downtown and Neighborhood Plan, which is all the sites that we have in the surrounding areas, 447 total units. 214 are on this site. J.J. Henderson on 177. So that takes care of the big chunk of that 447. The only thing left is the Forest Hill Heights community. DDMP is going to focus on turning that 447 units on 60 acres of land into over 2,500 units of housing, plus commercial and retail space. That's what we're doing with this DDMP plan. And that's just the first piece. We're going to do more work with our other public housing communities as well. So here are the great things about the DDMP. One, All residents who currently live here and in good standing will have a chance to come back to the new units that we build. 2, the rents of our residents will still be based on 30% of their income. They're not going to go up. That's one of the things that a lot of people say, well, why would you do this? And then people's rent, they're going to be the same. 3, residents that live in the units currently have a first right of refusal, meaning that they don't have to worry about, will I be able to come back? Yes, you'll be able to come back to the units that we build and or the units that we create in other places. 4, we're going to keep the same 447 units that are here for all of our downtown areas. So they all may not be on this very site, but none are going to be moved outside of the downtown area. So for example, we talked about J.J. Henderson. That's a renovation, all 177 units are going to be there. But right next door, we're building another 80-unit development, right? So that's one of the places where we're putting some units that we might move, say, from here or from the towers there. We've moved 20 units already to the Willow Street apartments. We're going to put some units at the new construction that's happening directly across the street from our office, the 300 East Main Street. And you know that construction is happening across the street? We're going to have some units over there too. Even though we don't own those sites, we're still going to be able to put units there. So it's a strategy that allows us to move some of our units around, create these greater socioeconomic environments, but yet everybody gets to stay in downtown. We're not moving people out, which was something that I remember one of the criticisms we got said, well, why don't you move them out where the land is cheaper? You can build it, we can build it for less expense. And I said, well, why would we do that to the families that have been here all these years? Downtown is coming something really exciting and dynamic, and we're going to go, let's move all the public housing residents out. We're not doing that. This is a home for our residents. It has been for 50 years. We're going to continue to make it that way. And we're building housing that's going to allow them to continue to be a part of this vital downtown long into the future. So as I mentioned, a few weeks ago, we celebrated JJ, and then we celebrated the $40 million Choice Neighborhoods grant. And today we're celebrating the demolition of this first phase. This is the beginning of that total transformation of this site that has 214 units to 555 units on this site, plus commercial and retail space on the Main Street side. This is the first for Durham, in that you have a community that's welcoming for all income ranges, from public housing to market rate. There will be market rate housing here as well. And guess what? There's going to be no difference between the market rate housing units and the units that are going to be occupied by former public housing residents. It's all going to be the same. It's in creating a community that is welcoming for all, that includes amenities such as play areas and computer centers and things of that nature, green space. All of that is the center of what we intend to continue to create as a way for Durham to move forward. In short, it's a community that we all want to live in. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Yes, one other thing I want to mention to you. As far as your next time to come visit us here, it may be a little cooler. We are hoping that we will invite you back the end of January, maybe the beginning of February, where we actually break ground and start construction here. So this is clearing the space for that new construction to start. At this point, I would like to this spring. Which Commerce? Yes. Okay. So so many things are happening. They have to remind me everything that is happening. So as Mr. Scott indicated, shortly thereafter, once we start the construction on Elizabeth Street, we will have the financial closing for Commerce. And in this area, if you look primarily in this area will be demolished, because we will have the Commerce Street apartments, which will have 2 phases. That would include a family phase and a seniors phase. And that will be actually the first phase of the Choice neighborhood development. Elizabeth Street is considered non-choice. Commerce, it will be actually the first phase of the Choice neighborhood. So I won't confuse you and won't confuse myself anymore. With all of the phases, I think I would now like to ask Mr. Jonathan Farr to come forward for Laurel Street Residential.
Thank you. So I'm going to make it short. Snell gave me a script and told me to stick to the script. So that's what I plan on doing. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Farrar. I'm Senior Construction Manager for Laurel Street. I'm responsible for demolition and new construction efforts in the Durham market. Like many of you, I'm a Durham native, and I had the pleasure of watching Durham grow over the years. I'm even more thrilled to represent Laurel Street here today. For this project here, it's close to home for me. And so I grew up in this area, and I had friends and folks and all around here. So it really touches me, right here in my heart to be able to work on this project and work closely with the city and Durham Housing. So I really appreciate that opportunity. So it's been an exciting time working with Laurel Street as we led activities, or you mentioned J.J. Henderson. So we're also working on that in 519. So we've been working throughout the city here to help transform the Durham community. So we're excited to be partners with Durham Housing Authority in the city. We're equally excited about the start of demolition at 519 East Main Street and the Liberty Street apartments here. So demolition, as we all mentioned, is being phases. And what you see here today is part of phase 1, including the first 8 buildings which were demolished here, and we're scheduled to finish that up at the end of the month. The 8 buildings will be replaced by 2 new buildings that'll be on this corner here, on the corner of Elizabeth and Liberty. And the 2 new buildings will total 72 new apartments. And so we're scheduled to complete those in the first phase of that in 2024. So these new apartments will be affordable to households from 30% median income up to 80% of the median income. In 2023, demolition and new development will continue the future phases of the master plan to redevelop 519 East Main Street as well as Liberty Street apartments. So today we enthusiastically mark the beginning of a multi-year, multi-phase redevelopment that will transform this site, this space, into a modern, efficient, ergonomic, and nurturing environment to call home. So affordable downtown living. We at Laurel Street would like to say thank you to Mayor, Mr. Scott, the City of Durham, Durham Housing Authority, for trusting us with the important chapter in Durham's history. So thank you. We look forward to working with you. Continued success on the project. And God bless.
Mr. Scott, I think that concludes the special acknowledgments. If you would like to.
I do. I just want to say one thing. We had the mayor on the agenda, but she could not make it today. We talked last night, and she apologized for not being here, but don't take it as a slight, but she definitely wanted to be here today, so that's the last piece.
Okay. All right. So, I would like to offer our chairman, if he wants to make a comment before. I don't want to put you on the spot, and I apologize if I do.
Anthony, I promise to be short too. No, this is an exciting day for me. I joined the board in 2000 and I guess it was 14, and I'm amazed at what's happened in this period of time. I mean, I'll just say this to start out with, and I thought about it sitting here, and you were talking about the mix of income. When Anthony came to interview here, I picked him up at the airport, and we talked about our vision for public housing on the way into town. And he said 2 things that resonated with me. He said, one is, when I drive down the street in a community, I do not want public housing to look any different from market rate apartments in the same community. The second thing is, I want to make sure that we have in every, if he gets this job, if we move into the changes that we want to make, that we'll have mixed income in all those houses and mixed use, and that's what we're doing. And I'm excited about it, and I think it's just couldn't be a better time to be in public housing in Durham. And I'm glad that I at least to be a part of it. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our remarks. And at this moment, I'm going to ask the board and Mr. Scott to step over here quickly for this wonderful photo op. And we will have the opportunity for members of the press for interviews for select individuals. Yeah, we will. Okay. Okay. Staff, do not go.
This is on and ready.
Okay. Thank you. She wants to grab him too, so we'll grab him together out there. I think they just left. I don't see where this kid.
She just grabbed his mic. Oh, actually, they are in the car. So
Back a little bit. No, I was no, stand right here. You want me to? The light looks best here.